So I would like to tell you that what I'm going to start this reflection off is with a prayer, a deep Irish prayer. But what I actually found out was this is an Irish toasting. This is an Irish toast, so it's not really a prayer. Bob would love it nonetheless. So the Irish toast goes like this. May your glass be ever full. May the roof over your head be always strong. And may you be in heaven half an hour before the devil knows you're dead. Now, knowing Bob as I do, I have a feeling that Bob was in heaven 30 minutes before Jesus knew Bob was dead. And if you'll grant me license, because I understand that Jesus is omniscient and there is nothing that Jesus doesn't know, this is how I imagine this story unfolding. Jesus is in heaven doing whatever Jesus does. And he gets a tap on the shoulder, and he turns around, and there's Bob standing there with a cup of coffee. And he says, you know, forgive me, Lord. I don't need to tell you your job or how to run your heaven, but I've been waiting at that gate for 20 minutes. I had to go to hell to get this lousy cup of coffee. There's no Splenda, and they don't have any vanilla. And at that moment, I imagine Jesus embracing him and welcoming him fully. As we all know, Bob was welcomed into heaven. I'm a registered nurse. Oncology is not my area of specialty. I've worked with patients that have had cancer. I've never seen someone go as quickly as Bob did. He was diagnosed, and almost not quite 2.5 weeks later after being diagnosed and being told even without chemotherapy, you'll have 2 to 4 months to live, which he had 3 rounds of chemotherapy before he left the hospital. Even given the most short prediction of 2 months, he still beat that by almost 6 weeks. My RN brain does not understand that. But as a friar and friend of Brother Bob, I completely understand that. Because Bob lived at Bob speed. You know when people say Godspeed, meaning faithful travels, safe travels, fast travels, well, Bob's speed is even faster than Godspeed, I think. Bob, in death, Bob was as he is in life. He worked very quickly. And as Karen told us last night, oftentimes if you wanted to get Bob, you'd have to say, I need 5 minutes of your time, as he was running by. And what I learned as a friar in this friary was that you didn't go where Bob was if you wanted to see Bob. You went to where he was going to be, to anticipate where he was and intercept him. But no doubt in my mind, Bob was ready for death. Bob and I occasionally talked about death. We joked about it occasionally. When he was in the hospital, I even asked him about that. I said, what do you think about this? I mean, this is a pretty serious diagnosis, and, you know, how do you feel about it? And in typical Bob fashion, he said, well, we fight cancer. That's what we do. And I said, okay. And I have full faith that that's what he launched into, was a battle with cancer. When he went back into the hospital the day before he died, I was with him in the emergency department, and we were waiting, as you do in the emergency department. As an emergency nurse, I apologize, but we wait. The poor patients wait and wait, and you wait to wait. That's just how it goes. But as we were waiting, he said to me, he had been discharged to the hospital, and he was at the Friary the previous night, and he said, I was so angry. And I said, well, why were you angry? And he said, because I couldn't get out of this damn bed. I couldn't get in my car. I couldn't go to the mount to work. I couldn't even go to the bathroom on my own. I can't walk without assistance. And on my mind, I'm thinking, oh, Lord, this is 9 months of this. Like, this is day one of a long journey of you being stuck in bed. I mean, in my head, I'm thinking this, right? And as Eric Schumacher, our maintenance man, noted, Bob could not be contained by a bed. And I believe Bob knew that. We heard testimonies last night, wonderful testimonies of Brother Bob Baxter and how he touched people's lives because of his faith, through his Bible studies, through his individual interactions with his friends, with youth, with the middle-aged, with older people.
So what we do, we open up the podium. It's open mic night here, folks. Come and tell your stories. Let's celebrate together because Bob doesn't want us not to. Bob wants us to be together, laughing and enjoying each other's company.
I wanted to, especially Elaine's family, and let you know the impact that this same man has made on this community is innumerable. You've never seen so many cradle Catholics opening their hearts and their mind to the Word. It was only through Bob.
He was more than just a spiritual advisor. He had a clearness and a mentality to be able to discern what the future should be and what the essence was of like the Cursillo movement and all the other movements in the church.
In practice, he loved the Eucharist. He prayed the Rosary. He loved the Stations of the Cross. And as a faithful servant and faithful friar, he lived the gospel life with us and was our guardian here at Mount St. Francis for a number of years. I believe 8 years, if not 10. And if you've ever known a group of friars, we are wily characters. To be the head of a community, a large community of 12 to 13 men, that's a lot to take on. And he helped us live the gospel life. In his friendships, he brought Christ into those relationships. He could be scatological in his humor and his wording for the sake of humor, but he was never scatological about his faith or beliefs, and that shone through. He believed strongly in a Trinitarian God, and he was not bashful about that.
It was November, and he was putting up a nativity set. And I said something to Bob. I said, "Don't you think you're rushing the season a little bit?" And he said, "Look, Jesus hung on the cross for 3 hours. But we have that cross in the churches at all times." He said, "Don't you think, the nativity should also take center place?" But Bob, I saw, was one who was a great soul man, a staunch defender of the faith, and one who really opened my eyes to come to it as well. Helped me to understand as well the richness and the depth of our Catholic faith. And so I am very indebted to Bob.
Finally, he was unafraid. He was ready to fight cancer, and he was ready to die, both. He spoke with his friends Brett and Dan recently, noting that he was not afraid because of his faith, because he knew no matter what road he was on, God was with him. And as painful as his absence is, he has left me with the consolation to be vigilant, faithful, firm, and unafraid, so that I and so that we all will be ready and at peace to meet our God, and that our death, my death, our deaths, are an entrance to an amazing new life in Christ.
I have to say that there are some men that I have known in the last 50 years who, when they die, the ground shakes. Some people pass and you don't even notice. But there's fellows like Juniper Cummings, Ralph Murtaugh. They are